Welcome, welcome. I would like to add my welcome to this day, to this moment. I am Reverend Karen Lewis. It is my joy to be here, and I am so grateful that I was given 2 hours today to talk about what I want to talk about, because I'm very passionate about it. Oh, good, some people are listening. No, I will keep it in the allotted time. And I want you to know that I am full of passion, so I have to do what I always need to do in order to ground this energy. And I invite you all to join me. I spoke about this practice from the Buddhist tradition in the newsletter, and I wanted to say thank you for all of those who responded and shared with me that you did it. And so let's do it again right now. And so we just rub our hands together. It allows us to come into this now moment. And on the next inhale, we inhale calm. It might show up as a picture, or you hear the word calm. And on the next exhale, we exhale with a smile. Allow your entire being to smile. As we inhale, our awareness of the presence of the divine right here. And we exhale, realizing that life is good, all is well. And one more time, we inhale, calm. We exhale, allowing our smile to radiate out into the world. We inhale our awareness of the presence of the divine. And we exhale that all is well. All is well. God is good. I am well. Oh, thank you. Thank you for practicing this with me. It is all of the things that have taken place already this morning, the reading, the beautiful opening prayer, the music, everything points to the fundamental truth and the fundamental pillar of our teaching, which is oneness. We speak about it all the time, right? We express it in all so many ways, and yet, sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that my good is somewhere out there, that right where I am is really not enough. And that is the journey we're going on today. The talk title is Enough is Enough. And I want to start us off with this quote by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching. And he says this: "The difficulty comes from our inability to see our own divine nature and its relation to the universe. We must awaken to the fact that we are one in nature with God." We must awaken to the fact that we are one in nature with God, with the divine. This is not just a fundamental of our teaching, a fundamental truth, but it is the truth that has been shared by all the sages, all through history. That there is only one, we are only one. I am very fond of the saying that there's a power in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. And it implies that it is fully made manifest right where I am. And this is the truth of myself. This is the truth of every person that is here in the sanctuary today, of every person that is joining us. If you have heard this before, if this is the very first time you hear it, I invite us to really take on that thought, that realization, that right where I am, the divine intelligence, the infinite spirit is fully present. It is fully present. It is the very first step of our spiritual mind treatment. It is what we anchor in. And we are realizing that is my work, to take this on fully. And so I took all of this information and this passion for this topic that was swirling with me this whole week, and I tried to put it into 3 different categories so we can walk it out together. And the 3 different areas is really, first, the realization that there is enough. There's enough. We live in an infinite universe. There's enough for everyone. And out of that flows naturally, there is enough for me. I have enough. I have enough. And then we're going to end in the underlying principle of where all this is coming from. And that is really the affirmation, the truth, that I am enough. I am enough. Many teachers say that there are only 2 core beliefs that are at the very basis of our limiting beliefs. And it is a version of either there is not enough or I am not enough. And so I want to make us present to that. I want to make us present to the fact that we have in our individual lives probably entertained one of those 2 beliefs. I know I have. Shall I ask those wonderful people who are here in the sanctuary and serving this service today, have you ever experienced that limiting belief of there's not enough or I am not enough? Yes, I know I have. And so that is where the blessing of this teaching comes through for me. The blessing of these tools, of these ideas, that truly, truly, there is enough. If we say we live in an infinite universe that is everywhere present, that is the power and the poise that practitioner Bill so beautifully talked about in the pre-service meditation, then I am interested in how can I bring myself in right alignment with this good? How can I enter into the flow, into the current, into the good, so that my life moves forward? One of the things I want to bring up, and I so love that Karen brought Eric Butterworth into our reading today, because Eric Butterworth, in his book, Spiritual Economics, has this wonderful distinction of the quantity of money and the quality of money. Now let's talk about that a little bit. What is the quantity of money? Well, the quantity of money is when I am in my analytical mind and I look at my bank account and I maybe look at my bills, or I look at what I want to achieve, and my analytical mind is like, yeah, that maybe doesn't quite work. Or I have a dream, I'm inspired to do something new, and then I go with my mind and look at the quantity of money and say, well, I don't see how I can fulfill that dream with the quantity that is present at the moment. And this is where we are invited to go on that 12-inch journey into our heart space. Because it is in our heart that we feel the quality of money, the quality of resources, where we realize that money, just as everything else in the world, is energy. It is just energy. And as I put myself into alignment with that which is mine to do and that which is mine to give and that which is mine to experience, I am now in the flow, and the quality of money carries me down the current. I heard someone say that's why it's called currency, because it carries us down the current. And I so love all of these examples and ideas and how to move it forward, and it really is up to us to experience it. If we don't allow ourselves to experience it, and if we don't collect the evidence that this is how life works, this is just a pretty talk. And that is where I love this teaching. I love the practicality, and I love how it calls us forth to practice it. In my research this week, I came across the parable in the Bible, the time where the tax collectors showed up at the disciples and said it's time to pay the taxes. And so the disciples went to Jesus, the master teacher, and said, there's no money in the coffers, and the tax collectors are here. And Jesus said, well, take your line and go to the lake and fish for a fish and look the fish in the mouth, and you will find the money to pay the tax collectors. Sometimes I wish I could say something like that. See how people would react to that. But as the parable goes, that's exactly what happened. The disciples went fishing, they caught a fish, looked in the mouth, there was a gold coin, they paid the taxes. Now, what's important is to realize that the fish, in biblical terms and biblical times, was always a representation of an amazing idea, of a godly ordained idea, of a divine idea. So if we look at it that way, then we can see that, oh, okay, when something is presented to me and I, on the level of my mind, don't quite see how can I find the solution for this, I'm invited to drop into my heart and open myself up to the currency of the universe. And that is a divine idea. A divine idea. And we have all had these moments, have we not? Where we all of a sudden, it feels to me, it always feels like I'm wrestling with a challenge, and all of a sudden it's like a door opens and an idea shows up, and I'm like, oh my, how could I have not seen this before? It is right there. Right there. I love that. Love that. Eric Butterfield is also the one who said that money is God in action. And I know that sounds familiar, right? Because we say that every time when we practice giving and receiving in this community. We say, this gift I give is God in action. And so it has to come from the place where I know that I am connected to all the good that is there in the universe, and I can give from that, where I have to realize that I truly, truly have enough. And that is a function of how I think about myself and how I relate to myself. The story of the stonecutter comes to mind. Oh, I think before we go there, I think we have a slide from Lao Tzu that says, "He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough." Love that. So back to the stonecutter. The stonecutter was very, very frustrated with his lot in life. He yearned for a lot more, and he was angry. And one day he walks by a merchant house, and through the open gate he sees all the goodies that the merchant had, and he said, if I would just be a merchant, I would feel much better about myself. And to his big surprise, He found himself to be the merchant, and he had all those goodies that he was yearning for. And one day, as he is walking along, there's a procession of an official, and everybody had to stop and bow to this official who was carried around in a sedan chair, and everything had to stop regardless of how much money one had. Everybody had to stop and bow. And our stonecutter finds himself thinking, oh, I wish I would be an official. So people would have to bow to me, and I could be just sitting there being carried around town. And to his great surprise, he finds himself being an official. And he's being carried around, and the people are envying him because they have to stop what they are doing. And he's realizing that he is hot. It is a hot day, and he looks at the sun. And he says, oh, if I could only be the sun, then I would have all the power and the station that I want. And he finds himself being the sun. And he's scorching the fields, and the farmers are cursing him, cursing the sun, until a storm comes by, and he finds himself again presented with something else that's more powerful. It's the storm. And he said, oh, I want to be the storm. And he becomes the storm. And he floods all of the land, and people hate it. And he is presented with something more powerful than him, and it is the wind. And the wind blows the storm away, and he says, I want to be the wind, and he becomes the wind, and he feels like, I finally arrived. And he blows things around until he comes across a rock, a great big rock that doesn't move. And yes, he says, there's something more powerful than me as the wind. I want to be the rock. And he becomes the rock. And the very next day, as he awakes to his consciousness as being the rock, he is hearing a hammer and a chisel. And he's feeling that he's being changed. And he asks himself, what can be more powerful than me as a rock? And as he looks down, he sees a stonecutter. He sees a stonecutter. And so what I think this story so beautifully illustrates, that when we come from this place that we want more, that we want more power or more, whatever that yearning is, that is not grounded in divine action, we are so busy chasing a dream only to come to this place where we realize, I had it all along, all along. That is what that story says to me. I believe before we go to that, I asked myself, okay, so what are the practices that I can engage in when I find myself out of alignment, when we find ourselves yearning for something and chasing something versus being grounded in what is mine to do? And the two practices that come up for that, for me, is first of all gratitude. Gratitude, recognizing all the good that is in my life, all the blessings. All the blessings that are there in this moment, right here, right now. All the blessings. And the second practice is sharing, giving of myself. And as you might have heard, that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away on Friday, I found this quote by her that she would share with her law students when she was teaching law. And this is what she said. If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair tears in your community, something to make life a little better for people less fortunate than you. That's what I think a meaningful life is. Living not for oneself, but for one's community. And we do that so beautifully, do we not? As a community, as we come together to bring forth and share not only this teaching that has all the tools for people to experience a better life, but the way we go out into the community and share this good. So, so grateful for that. Yeah. Now, Ernest Holmes, I love this quote. It's from Love and Law, so from the 1918 about. He says this: "Wake up, realize the truth. I am living in a perfect universe. It always was perfect and always will be perfect. There never was a mistake made. There are no mistakes being made, and there never will be. I live in the great and eternal universe of perfection, from cause to effect, from beginning to end, and the world's all right, and I know it." I know it. Oh. To be able to anchor in that truth. This now moment, who I am, what is present for me now, is good. Even allowing ourselves to feel that. Yeah. And that, of course, brings us to the underlying belief: I am enough. This sense that who I am is enough. When we deepen into that truth, we create our life to mirror it back to us. If you recall our teaching symbol, right? Our wonderful round teaching symbol, when we look at the bottom, at the manifestation, at the affairs of our beingness, our affairs, if we see things that we perhaps say, that is not what I want. That is not how I see my life unfolding. That is where we have to lift up and be willing to look at our beliefs. Now, Sunday mornings, we always talk about that. In Sunday mornings, we point the way. We point the way of how to engage with life, that it flows through us more easily. And you know where we deepen into these principles? In classes. I have been known to have taken foundations class 4 times. Yes, it's not a secret. Not because I didn't get it, but because being in a group of people that were devoted for a period of time to really engage in these principles helped me experience this teaching every day and not just have it be something that shows up on Sunday. And so I am so grateful for all the teachers and all the students with whom I walked that path, from that very strong belief that I held that I am not enough, to this place where I can feel immediately if it comes up again, because we are on that continued journey upwards. And every time it shows up, I am much faster in catching it. So here are my invitations for this week. Oh, I see beloved Diane saying we have another slide. Let's go ahead and share that. It is one of the most difficult things for us to accept is that beneath all our dreams and disappointments, we live and breathe in abundance. It is hard when in pain to believe that all we ever need is before us, around us, within us, and yet it is true. Mark Napo talks about this quote, particularly when he was going through his cancer journey, and after particular challenging chemo treatment, he found himself on the floor, brought to his knees, and his wife said, "Where is God now? Where is God here?" And he said, "It's right where I am." That was his spiritual awakening, that in the midst of all of the outer circumstances that seem to suggest otherwise, right there, he found the divine. He realized that underneath all of it was God. And here we are in 2020, and we are going through a challenging time. We're going through a pandemic that is bringing forth a lot of fears, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of challenges. And what I love about our teaching is that it doesn't shy away. It doesn't shy away from us, because the principles of prosperity, the principles of abundance remain the same regardless of what's happening out there in the world. They always, always remain the same. And so the invitation then is, how can I place myself into alignment that I can receive the benefits, the goodness that is mine to receive? And so I have 3 invitations. One is, practice the breathing that we did at the beginning of this talk frequently. Remember, it is inhale calm, exhale with a smile, inhale my awareness of the presence of the divine, and exhale all is well. I found this practice especially helpful when I find myself cringing, tightening up. And so I would like to extend the invitation to all of you here, the same invitation that I had in the newsletter. Please let me know what your experience is with it. I loved the stories that I received. The second one is express gratitude. Express gratitude. Yes, we are so good in saying it, in feeling it perhaps. We have gratitude journals. We have all those things. And there's that extra step to take the time, write down a gratitude note, and send it to someone. The teacher that inspired you, your son, your daughter, your parents, uncles, whoever. Have someone rise up that maybe said something or loved you in a certain way that made you feel good. And just express gratitude. Send it out. You will be amazed how it comes back. And then the third invitation is really to send the New Vision Center loving kindness. if you are having to drive by here on Tatum Boulevard and you see the transformation that happened over here over the last couple of days, the beautiful parking lot that is there, if you call us, include us in your prayers, but send your intentions here to this community so that any tears that might be in your awareness about it can be mended, because that is how we mend them, with our love, with our loving kindness, with our compassion, with our joy. I am so, so grateful you're on this journey together, that together we can deepen into this teaching. I love you all, and so it is. And let us go ahead and take all of it into prayer, into this wonderful tool that we have. And I invite all the practitioners and ministers and everybody who is feeling inspired to take a stand for stepping fully into the allness of life. I just ask you to rise with me and take a stand and recognize that the divine is fully present right where you are, right in this very moment where you stand is holy ground. There's nothing that needs to be added or subtracted. You are whole, perfect, and complete. And so we step into this awareness, allowing it to fill up our entire being. And from this place, we bless all of the prayer requests that are coming towards the center, via email, via the website, through phone calls, through texts. Every prayer request that remains on our hearts. And we allow our heart to open and feel the flow of the goodness of life. And it is from this deep place of knowingness that we truly are enough. There is enough, and life is good. And noticing the gratitude that bubbles up naturally. It's the deep knowingness that our gratitude, our thanksgiving brings forth even more good. And so it is with an open heart and so much love that I bless everyone, everything, knowing that this activity heals and serves every person within the sound of my voice and the world at large. And so I simply let it be. I place this word into universal law, the law that always says yes. Yes, my beloved. I am so glad you arrived here. Yes. And so it is.